All right. Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening for some of you. I'm not used to doing it at this time, but what was that noise? All right. Buzz Tune is here. We got Invest LYH. We got Chris here, and we got Curtis PE turned RE. I think this might be Chris's first live using Restream, but why don't you introduce yourself again, Chris?
Sure. I'm Chris Webb. I'm out in Lynchburg, Virginia. I go by Invest LIH. I just ran with learning how to do cash on cash return maybe 2 years ago. And I would just make videos based on Zillow listings of what the cash on cash return would be so that I would get better at being able to analyze deals that way. And I was able to just increase my timing or I guess decrease my timing because originally it took me about 9 minutes to do. Then I went down to 90 seconds so I could do it right in front of a home. And ever since then, I have just continued to build on that, finding different ways to evaluate deals. 2023, I went from 1 unit as a rental to 9. So I have 10 total units right now, including the one that I live in. It's a duplex, so I mean, I guess it could be 10, but scaled a little too quick, as Mark knows. And this past year, uh, we got a multifamily and we had some insurance issues, and I'm trying to figure that out as we go forward. But yeah, just kind of building on it as I can.
Cool. Sorry. I don't know. I keep hearing background. I'm trying to figure out where it's coming from. But well, yeah.
Just
So
one second.
is that you playing video games again in the background? Because Curtis got his new NCAA football game, so he might be.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I played that game for so many years. Actually, the funny story about that game. So back when I had a PlayStation, this is years ago. I think it was PlayStation 2. That's how old it was, and I kept it all through my years. And I remember sitting in my house in Arizona playing it, listening to econ podcasts while I was playing it. And eventually, about a year later, I said, I got to go back to school. And I think it's because I would sit there and I would listen to these things and it would just come into my mind and I'd be like, I can do this. So I just did it. But yeah, I love that game. I have not played the new one.
What?
nice.
Hey,
Yeah, that might be me. I may need to change locations. I have a contractor doing work in a different unit, so
oh, well,
if you need me to
whatever
change.
works for you, unless you want to just try and mute it when you're not talking. Maybe I don't know what's easier for you.
Okay, yeah, I may just go into the other house and it's still vacant. So if you
Sorry,
just
yeah,
give
other
me,
house.
so if you just give me a moment, I'll.
Yeah, just pop back in after, man. All right, cool, man. Just gonna be you and me for now, Chris.
That's all right. That actually reminds me of another story.
I was like,
When I
what
was
is
in
that noise?
Texas, it was just when we started doing work from home and I got my roof done.
Ah,
We had 3 meetings that day. I'm like, I can't hear you.
well,
So
let's get started then a little bit before Curtis jumps on because we kind of had a discussion. During our interview, we kind of came up with this kind of term, the ego tax, and it seems to be something that's kind of on your mind quite a bit. Seems like recently, or maybe you thought about it a little bit more. But you want to dig into that a little bit?
yeah, it was interesting because you had mentioned just some scenarios about being able to say, "Oh, I'm going to get a certain price," and then holding out. And I, in my head, I'm just like, "Oh, it sounds like an ego tax." So it was just something that I thought was pretty interesting, and I thought that it would be fun to kind of unpack and see what kind of areas that could be assessed to. Definitely assessed in the rent, in my opinion. Some people feel like they will have to get this rent in order for them to be successful. And I think that I watched a video of yours the other day, or it was today, but it was from the other day. And you had the guy on there who has the mobile homes.
Yep, Derek. Yep.
And he had mentioned that when he purchased a deal, he didn't think that he was stealing it from somebody, but then eventually it became a great deal. And I think with the purchase side, it feels like that a lot for investors. Like we hear these stories about people who get great deals. I know one here. I think she bought a home here in Lynchburg. I think maybe for 30 grand. She put 40 grand into it and sold it for 300. You hear those and you're like, oh, I need to get something like that. And what people sometimes forget is that that deal that she got was built on all of these other deals that she had done previous to that. And I think that people forget that um, what your ego can get into the way sometimes when you don't give yourself enough time to achieve that goal. What we got here?
Yeah, I totally agree, man. I think so. Dennis, thanks for stopping by. We also got Tyler here. He's a firefighter, or I think he's a retired firefighter. Buzz Toon is here, but Dennis is a big video game guy. So I actually go check out his YouTube channel. He's not only talking about real estate and things like that. He's also playing video games and stuff on his channel. But he says I got a PS2 from Toys R Us website in late 2000s. I think that's when they first came out.
Yeah.
He had to hit the refresh a million times to get one. Yeah, man, it was crazy back then. But I'll put his YouTube channel in the comments and everything. But yeah, go check it out. I mean, it's not just real estate, so it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I actually I saw one of his stuff, and one of the guys watching his comment was like, he's like, I can't stop laughing watching your video. You're like play by playing your own recording or watching yourself. But yeah, the comment section was pretty funny. But yeah, the ego tax, I think, and you're talking about from a like a rent perspective, and yeah, I totally agree. But the more people that I talk to, I think I realized that the ego tax is kind of like it can affect everything in life, not just real estate. I mean,
Yeah.
even people are on that whole kind of is owning a home the best path to wealth, right? Especially like right now, where rent is so much cheaper in a lot of areas. Hold on, Curtis is coming back in. That there's that debate of whether home ownership is the only way, and I think sometimes that's same thing. It goes into the ego tax where we were kind of raised that you have to buy a home or you're
Right.
kind of unsuccessful if you don't own a home. And then sometimes people are like trying to compare what they're buying to their friend or their classmate, and it's kind of like, okay, now I gotta get a 4-bedroom 2-bath with a pool because my classmate or my friend has something else. And I think that's where that whole ego tax comes in, and then it kind of just handcuffs you also, right? So Curtis, I don't know if you were listening along, but this is maybe a new term for you. I'm not sure if we discussed it too much, but what would be your thought if someone mentioned ego tax to you?
Yeah, when you had first told me this idea, I had to really think through. I'm like, okay, I know there has to be an example, but what is it? And I think it's when I got my first duplex, August of 2022. So during that time, I was in grad school. I was getting my master's. I got my first property, and my job was about to start back up. And my ego told me that, hey, you can do everything. You can work on your job. You can do your master's work. You can rehab this property. No problem. Well, it was a little too much, and I had to extend the time that I was going to do my master's. The property it wasn't done. It wasn't done in the time frame that I wanted, which should have been a month. Took 3-4 months, and so just kind of the time aspect is kind of what my tax was, because I thought I could do everything.
And I think that plays along with what you were saying, Mark, where it's not just real estate related. The ego tax is essentially a time tax. And in general, we are paid for our time. And if we are adding additional taxes on top of that, it's costing us time.
Yeah, totally agree. That the whole I think Kevin, an investor in Pittsburgh, was on the live the other week. He was talking about how sometimes we think it's these DIY projects, right? YouTube makes it look so easy, right? So you think, oh, I'm going to open up this wall, I'm going to do this, and you open it up, it's like, oh man. And that's even kind of how I feel today too. Sometimes when there's certain little things, maintenance things at my house, it's like, okay, I gotta go to the store. I gotta go to pick up these tools maybe that I don't have or that I don't use very often, but I need it for this particular job. So now it comes like you're saying, time, cost, and how much like I could work an overtime shift and get so much money, and where I could pay, and then I could pay someone to do it. But then now it's like, okay, but if I do that, then it's like my friends are gonna be like, oh, why don't you just do it? It's such an easy job. And so it's the same thing, right? It's the ego tax. And I think we all deal with it. And that's something like even in being in these communities is super helpful because you can kind of see what someone else could be like, oh man, you might as well just pay to get that done. Cause if not, you're gonna probably spend how many
Right.
days, doing this and that. But yeah, I love the ego tax, and I'm not gonna take credit for it. I mean, we came up with it
Oh,
together
you.
during our
Oh,
no.
you.
But let's see. Let's see. We do have a question here. It says, "Have you ever experienced a situation where ego led to a negative consequence, and can you share that story?" So Curtis kind of shared that a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have another one that pops to the top of your head?
I can talk about one real quick. It's on the property I was telling you about earlier. We had an eviction, and I had painted early on in my life with my dad, so I know how to paint pretty well. And so I'm like, oh, I'll just go over there and throw a coat of paint on there. Well, I had to take 3 weeks to do it when it could have been done in one day. So yes, it did cost me money because I finished it on June 8th and it's still not rented. So it's cost me 2 months rent.
Okay, but you did it yourself. So do you feel this sense of accomplishment though? I think that's what it kind of comes
I
down
think
to
the
too, right?
first day I was like, okay, we're moving right along. And then I went into the bathroom and it was all brushwork. And I'm like, why should I just have somebody come in here and spray? Because the other thing about having like a professional do something, generally they're a lot more efficient because they also understand that their time is being paid. So they're not going to spend 3 weeks on a job. They're going to spend 2 days and then have multiple jobs for 3 weeks.
Yeah. That's definitely the way I look at things now. Is like you're saying, they're way more efficient, and that's kind of what they're getting paid for. The more jobs they can do, right? They're going to get more, or the faster they do a job, the more jobs they're going to get, right? So they're going to be more efficient at what they're doing. So I think the only thing for me is, with my son though, it's kind of like, all right, we gotta at least do things together. So that's
Right.
kind of the like even like the yard, right? You could easily pay someone to do it, or even like doing it when he's at school. So a lot of times I try to wait to the weekends so that he can take part in it and at least do something with it. So, but hopefully when he gets more efficient, then we can just pay to get it done. But right now it's kind of like letting him, be hands on and do things, right?
Yeah, and another thing is, I'm not sure y'all's background, but mine is very like kind of low income, family centric. We all kind of do it together. We don't need anybody else. Well, that's all great, but I'm learning that I now have some funds, so I don't have to do it on my own and like suffer, like fight the thing that I'm not understanding. I can pay the $100 now. Whereas before, I didn't really think that I could. But when I look at my bank account, I'm like, okay, well, I guess I could pay it now and kind of not prolong that process.
Yeah. And then the goal too, right, is kind of like though you want to be able to pay for it to free up more time, right? So even
Yeah.
like I forget who I was talking with, but they're talking about even like flying first class, or when you go to these amusement parks, right? If you can pay for VIP and you skip the line, right? You save all that time to do the new rides or whatnot, right? So that's all about being efficient and having more time to enjoy other things. But it's just that ego tax kind of, sometimes we worry about what people are thinking, or oh man, look at this guy buying the VIP pass or whatnot, right? So I think that's being around people that have the same mindset though is super helpful, and realizing that, oh no, a lot of people think this way, as far as they want to be efficient, they want to save as much time as possible. But yeah, I love the ego tax. I'm glad we came up with that kind of thing.
And I want to talk a little bit about 2 things on that. One, you talked about working with your son on things. One time I did try to paint with my wife. One time.
Should that be another episode?
It's fine. She understands that it look again. HGTV makes it look easy when you do it, and then you have little clouds, right? When you have a cloudy wall, you understand that maybe it's not that easy, but
Yeah.
it's not that hard. But anyway, that was one thing. And the second thing, and I think that Curtis, I'm curious to hear your perspective on this, because if I remember correctly, you go to the same like REI events that Dion goes to.
Yep.
So when we talk about ego tax, sometimes I feel like at an REI event, if you do not do hands-on work, it is a hit to the ego from other people. And I wonder if because I think Dion's to the point now where he can overcome that. Other people cannot, because like I recently gave a talk to our REI event where I showcased my econ knowledge. And I think not everybody gets to do that. So are they at that disadvantage, and are they trying to make up for that ego tax because they have to, because other people are saying, I am a handyman, I am going to impose a tax on you because you have not shown to me that you're actually doing things to your property.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting one, and I think it kind of depends on the person. I very much own up to, hey, I'm trying to work. I don't know what the heck I'm doing though, and like, but I kind of reverse it, and I just own it. So before they can shame me, I get it out of the way.
That's a great strategy. That's a great strategy.
Yeah. Because now they have no power, right? So, and I kind of got that from my speech thing. Because if I just tell people, hey, this is kind of what happens when I speak, sometimes there's going to be some issues, and okay, you like it, you don't like it, it kind of is what it is. And so kind of translating that to like not knowing certain construction stuff or rehab stuff, or just being honest, it kind of like puts it at ease.
Yeah, and I will say we have a great guy who leads our group here in Lynchburg. And I remember the first or second meeting that I went to, he said, no matter what you need, we know somebody who can do it or somebody who can teach you how to do it. So he never gave me that impression that there was that tax imposed. Since reading like some Bigger Pockets things and things like that, I kind of see it there, here and there. And I also see it on the financial side. A lot of people are like, well, you don't know what a 1031 exchange is. And I'm like, not everybody knows this stuff. I think sometimes people, just because they're at a level, they expect other people to be there too. And I think that does a disservice to the community. Now, in our community, I think we're doing great. But when we look outside, not everybody knows about the one rental at a time community, or even here in Lynchburg, not everybody knows about the REI and the guy who leads it. I mean, they're great people. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because I go to an event about every week, and it's not always the same group. It's definitely not the same community that we're in here. And so I definitely kind of see the different things and kind of the judgment that's cast upon for doing X, Y, or Z. And luckily our group's not like that though.
That's great.
Dennis is hilarious. I'll get to his after, but Tyler also mentioned, I think I did have it. Tyler mentioned bigger mastermind, swinging the hammer frowned upon. And then
I completely agree with that. And I will say, jumping into Tyler's, in general, the higher you go up when you're building something, you understand that the time is worth more, so you're willing to outsource it. And let's see, what does Dennis have to say here?
Cool. Dennis says, I usually try to tell people how ugly I am first, so they aren't too shocked or so shocked, but they usually see my face before I can say it, so it doesn't work. No comment, man. But yes, go check out Dennis's YouTube channel, man. He's funny. And I also put Curtis's PE turned RE YouTube channel in the beginning of the links, or his beginning of the comments, and same as Chris's one. Chris's one is a lot of economic data, so I love it.
They're very long videos. Sorry, guys.
Not too bad. I mean, they're like what, 10 to 15 minutes?
Yeah, well, the last one I did was like 25, but it was a digital version of what I taught at the local event, which was about 40 minutes. So
Okay, cool. I don't know, Curtis. Did you hear when I was saying Dennis's earlier comment about his PlayStation?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
In 2000, I was 2 years old, so I can't really relate to that. Uh, but yeah.
Curtis,
Yeah.
what team are you using right now?
Chicago Bears.
Oh man, please, please stop with the propaganda. I've been playing that thing nonstop. It's actually become kind of a problem. My family's checked in on me to make sure I'm doing okay, and so I've been using all kinds of teams. I like Tennessee's playbook to really spread it out. I've also kind of played around with like the Navy and the Army with that triple option, but it just happens so fast. Like I can't even get the right read.
So you prefer college?
My nephew played at Army. He played 2 years there. And then one of the girls that worked for me at the cookie shop goes to UT. Tennessee,
okay.
University of Tennessee. So
nice.
That stadium is huge. It's probably the biggest stadium I've ever seen in real life.
All right. So what do you guys think? I'm gonna throw this out there, wasn't live. What do you guys think about an ORAT fantasy football league?
I think a lot of people would like that. I do not play fantasy football.
Oh man.
Fine, Mark. You know my schedule.
Well, that's why people like the football, because you only got to set it really once a week, right?
But a good friend of mine back in Massachusetts, I swear he could be a stockbroker. I mean, he has charts up and down. He knows all of their.
That's how it used
to be. The point system. I'm like, man, you got to channel that into something to make some money.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I just play to have fun. I just play to keep in contact with people. I actually started an X one last year. It was kind of last minute. But we had about 10 guys playing, some different guys. So I'm thinking of throwing one out there in either the school or the ORAT Facebook group and see.
I think you should. I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah.
I would love to see Dion do it. He would call it fantasy sports ball.
I would be down. I typically during the season, I don't get to watch a lot of the games because I'll train kids on Sundays, because all of my high schoolers play on Fridays, and then all my youth players play on Saturdays. So all the clients I train are on Sundays. So I get the updates on my phone though. So.
Yes, Tyler, I did see the Drunk Real Estate. So I actually emailed them, and I actually commented on that video to put me down. And I don't know how many people mentioned it, but he said, I got you. So I don't know if that means he just got my name or I'm on the roster. I don't know yet, but I put my name in the hat. So I got to represent the ORAT community. So we'll see. But I did put my name out there. But I don't know. Anything else? I mean, you guys want to dig into the ego tax some more? I mean, I think it could cover so many things. I mean,
tons.
I mean, I think that's kind of even where like my son's mom, struggles a little bit because, she, and I don't want to give her age away, but she, I think she feels like she's behind a lot of people in a sense where maybe she grew up with, and she attempted to open up her own business, and she was doing fine. COVID happened, so it kind of threw a wrench in things, and she had properties which she sold to start the business. So I think she kind of feels like she's going backwards in a sense, and she just, I think ego-wise, it just gets in the way where it kind of puts even more burden. And I think so, like she's trying to, I feel like, get a Hail Mary with every move she makes, right? And then that's a hard way to win, right? If you're just trying to go for a Hail Mary touchdown every single play, it makes it difficult. You kind of just got to keep moving forward, taking what the defense gives you, the small, moving the chains. But like, I feel like she's just trying to hit a home run or get a Hail Mary on every play. And it's just like, you almost like kind of, it does push you backwards in a sense, right? A lot of times, so I think that's where she's struggling. I see a lot of people kind of, and as you get older, you kind of deal with that kind of stuff, seeing what your friends or people that you grew up with are doing.
Yeah, I can speak on that. Go ahead, Curtis.
Oh, okay. And yeah, and when folks talk to me, especially friends like my own age or, or even family members are starting to see what I'm doing now. And when they're like, oh, how did you start? Like, where should I look? And I start to have the conversations. And as I'm talking through, I can kind of see their face change because
Mhm.
they realize that they're going to have to do some work or they're going to have to learn something new or do math. And for a lot of folks,
Yeah.
they're kind of like apprehensive. And so they're kind of taxing themselves because they're fearful to even take a step
Mhm.
because it's easier to
Yeah.
be on the sidelines because there's no consequence or there's no consequence that's immediate. Whereas if you go out on the field and you try and you fail,
Mhm.
that's a pretty immediate consequence.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of power in what Curtis is using as an analogy there of getting out on the field. Because when you're on the field, you have to act and you also have to react. And I think that because Curtis, I'm not sure if you know, but I had a business that I started. We realized early on that we didn't like it. And so we pivoted, we had to react. And I think that when people reach a certain age and they see a lot of the people around them who are doing certain things with some levels of success, it is difficult to say, you know what, I need to hit a reset button in my life. And I think that they struggle with that sometimes. It's very difficult to do that because on the one hand, you're saying I failed at something, when in reality, it's not necessarily a failure because you didn't know that you didn't like it in most cases. And on the other hand, you're saying, I need to try something new, which again kind of gives that connotation that I have failed. And I just don't think that it's always something that we can deal with, but it happens in life. And there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion.
So Buzz Tunes chiming in. So he says, like that Curtis can use the game and incorporate it into his coaching with game planning. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of parallels, and
Mhm.
it honestly helps me too because like in my coaching world, I coach mostly on the offensive side. So we come into a game, we have a game plan. The defense changes or shows us something like different. Now, it's not bad that the game plan's not working. It'd be bad if I didn't adapt, kind of like what you were saying there. Now, if you can adapt, great. But if you don't adapt, that's kind of where you're more in the wrong.
Right. And I think the inaction is when you don't adapt, it causes inaction.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see a video for Curtis when he's coaching on the sideline and somebody, how they do the video memes now where it's like they put the pictures. So across the way, there needs to be a defensive coordinator with Jerome Powell's
Yeah.
head on it saying, this is the interest rate. And his play is like, okay, we're going to do a post pattern and I'm going to get this duplex. Raises the interest rate. And so you audible to buying a single family home, but I'm going to convert it into a duplex.
Yes, sir.
Yep. And sticking on the whole kind of sports themes and everything a little bit, I think that's what makes great teams or successful teams
Mhm.
win, right? Because they're able to pivot or adapt, right? Like Bill Belichick. I mean, he had different players coming through his system, but it was more he was able to adapt to the strengths of the players that he had. And I think Zuber talked about it too a little bit on maybe a lie or on his daily financial one day, but he was talking about like Ray Lewis, right?
Mhm.
Like when he was 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, he was a good linebacker. But when he was 4 yards away, he was a great linebacker. But then if he was 3 yards away, okay, then now he was like kind of maybe a poor line. So there's that kind of point where you know it, like you're saying, you're talking about needing action, right? But it also at a point where it cuts away kind of the noise, right? At 5 yards away, he's good, but maybe it gives him too many things to see, right? At 4 yards, he has to react a little bit more, and that's what made him a great linebacker. But then now if he's too close to things, right, now he's blinded by some other things. So it's finding that fine point that's going to produce activity and action, I think. So that's super important. But let's see. Dennis has a comment here. Let's see. What does he say? I feel stuck on the sidelines sometimes. If any of you were stuck on the sidelines initially was there any specific thing that pushed you to get into the game? Ooh, a great question, man. Who wants to tackle this first?
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
and I'll go. One thing that can help is make the goal so small. is make the goal so small that you can accomplish it.
We got people chiming in from X over here, and I can't
Yeah,
reply
very
on here.
funny.
Hold on, I gotta send out a different message.
So, Curtis, you said that make the goal make the thing so small where you can achieve it. So, for football example, that would probably be something like first getting in your stance.
Yeah.
Right. Make sure that that's correct. Make sure, what do you call those splits? Right.
Yep. Splits are good.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. So make sure you're this far away from your other player, and we could translate that to real estate to understanding your buy box. Simple task. No math involved.
Even smaller.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe just knowing your market, or your location, I guess.
Yeah, because I feel like with like the buy boxes, there's bedrooms, there's bathrooms, there's asset type. There's all this stuff, and I feel like at times, or you're trying to make a spreadsheet on your own, and you're like, okay, what is each column? Just even make it smaller. It could be, hey, I'm going to text one agent, or I'm going to call one investor, or make it so small that you actually will do it. And then kind of springboard that into the next thing.
And there is something powerful in being able to create those. Mm-hmm. And I would say one other thing to add to that would be not necessarily give yourself you want to have a timeline, but not kind of giving yourself a timeline at the same time. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but what I mean is don't say, I'm going to get one home in 1 year. Just say, I'm going to get one home soon. And I know people say that that's not good, but that kind of gives you a break of saying, if I didn't do it in a year, then I fail. Because if you're continuously building towards that action step of purchasing the home, it does help. Now, generally, when people say, I want to get one home soon, they will not reach it, which is why a lot of people say that you got to have that timed goal. I think that's a little internal for the individual themselves. But if you are able to say, you know what, I'm just going to keep moving forward. And when something comes up, you act on it, you can really go pretty far without having to have those time restrictions. And it's very powerful because it compounds over time.
Yeah, so there's two types of goals. There's outcome goals and there's process goals. And so you had your example was great, right? Don't give it define it timeline but it was more of an outcome goal. You can't decide if your offer is going to be accepted or not, but you can decide I'm going to make an offer every month or however that you need to be, right? But if you can focus on the process, the outcome eventually will come.
Excellent example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, before I dive into Dennis's question again, I want to give a shout out to Kevin, Self Storage Ventures. He's actually commenting from X, but he messages that I fumble at 4 yards away. So he actually was one of the guys that played in the fantasy football league we had on X, and man,
rivalry time.
No, so I think it was Jeremy Taggart, another Pittsburgh investor broker, but he was killing it the whole season. Like he just destroyed everyone, and I beat him in the playoffs. But I was talking so much shit, but I didn't realize that I forgot to, because the league was set up so last minute. I didn't really change any settings, and I didn't realize that the playoffs was a 2-week championship week. So I won the first week, and I was just like, yeah, and I was like, shit, it's 2 weeks, and then I lost because. So he's just rubbing it in, but he's a fireman. He's a fireman too, so that's why he's kind of an ass.
When I went back to school, we did our cohort at Florida State was about 28 people, and so we did the flag football, and we had one other guy who was over 30. So we had me and him were on the team, and we won our first game by default. We won our second game outright. We beat the other team, and I'm like, all right. So then we go into the next week, and I'm like, we're doing all right. We lost every other game. Young kids are fast.
Oh yeah. Okay. But so BuzzTune says Dennis is doing it right, learning your buy box, networking, like the plan Zuber laid out. You'll be equipped with all the knowledge to strike well. You know, I agree, and Dennis, you are doing a great job, and I think you're in a great community, and everyone's pushing you and willing to help you. I think and maybe I'm wrong here, and but I think maybe the ego tax is kind of hitting you also because maybe you feel this pressure because you're in this community and maybe you feel this pressure like you have to your first one has to be a great deal because you're doing a lot of great work, everyone is giving you advice, giving you input, so you feel like you have all these tools and resources that it's almost like I have to find a great deal because all these people around me are giving me all these extra information and tips where I should not make any mistakes because I'm getting all this information. And my only thing to that is I feel like no matter what, you're gonna make mistakes. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's gonna happen. No matter how much experience you have. I mean, Zuber, Dion, Lumberjack, Millennial Mike, they still talk about mistakes that they make, right? So no matter where you are in the game, the mistakes are still gonna happen, but it gets easier to deal with, right? So I don't, like I said, I could be wrong, but maybe you feel that pressure of all these people helping you and supporting you, that you also feel like, oh man, I have to get a great deal on my first one. And of course you do want to get a great deal, but don't worry about maybe having a little hiccups along the way, because we've all been there. So hopefully that you're not putting this extra pressure on yourself, by being in this community.
And if I could add to that, to bring it to a football analogy, I think that what you said, it would be similar to like a drive. A lot of times you have all the knowledge, the plays that you're going to run. Sometimes a drive will stall. Sometimes you'll get a 5-yard penalty because unfortunately the previous landlord did not do what he needed to do for HUD. I'm not speaking from experience, but then you have to overcome that. And time is the biggest component in real estate that will help your mistakes not be so large. It will minimize those mistakes the longer time you have in it. I know you guys both probably know Coach Carson, and he recently interviewed his mentor, and his idea of purchasing a property was, I will buy it and I will consider selling it once the amount of money that I put into it doubles in value. And at that point, he can make a decision. He understands that time allows for that. And I think that investors that are new, they hear all these great stories, but when we make the decision to purchase a property, I don't know about you guys, there is a little bit of fear sometimes because it might go wrong, but you still got to do it. And then you kind of adjust along the way, and things generally will work themselves out.
Yep. Hey, Curtis Haynes is here. Time heals all wounds. I believe he's popping in from Curtis's channel because it says paired. Yeah. So is that any relation to Michael Haynes?
Yeah. So that's my dad.
Oh,
yeah.
Welcome, Mr. Haynes. Glad your son's a Chicago Bears fan.
Oh my gosh.
What is the deal with what fan are you really, Curtis?
So I'm not really a fan of a certain team. I did used to work for the Seahawks. So like I used to go to all their home games, and like my job was if anyone jumped over to get onto the field, I'd have to run and go tackle them, and so to make sure. So well, luckily that never happened. But
and Mark, why the Bears?
Well, when I was kind of really just starting watching football, the '85 Bears were just the best. I just thought they were the coolest thing. The Super Bowl shuffle, and then that was just like, oh, this is my team,
Well, nobody's gonna like me because I grew up in Massachusetts.
Ah, yeah, you're a front runner. I know where you're going already.
I remember Hugh Millen went 2-14 in 1991. I am not a front runner.
Oh, I also know the Bears destroyed you in the Super Bowl.
Yes, I know. That's why I tilted my head to the side.
But yeah, that's the reason why I like them. And yeah. So, Mr. Haynes, though, thanks for stopping by. I mean, you raised an
Yes.
amazing son, and he's a great story. And I'm glad he's willing to hop on these lives and share his journey and talk about what he's doing. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try to have him maybe hop on here one day because he's doing some cool stuff down in Florida,
Oh,
with flipping and doing some container homes and
oh wow, yeah. Get him on, man.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Has he been on any podcasts or anybody's things or?
I think he's only been on one that I know of, but not that you probably know of. It was
Hey,
it was
well,
for because he's also a teacher, and so he so he was on somebody's that talks to like teachers that teach like the business stuff and things like that. Mhm.
All right, BuzzTune, I gotta get you out of here. That was uncalled for. He says 85 Bears. Damn, you old. Yeah, I
Season.
am old. I am old. But yeah, you should get him on, man. I mean, even going back to the ego tax we're still kind of talking about, but like I said, it kind of relates to a lot of things. Like for you, Curtis, like or even you, Chris, like how long did it take you guys to decide you're gonna do your first YouTube video or put out some content?
It took me quite a bit. I probably wasn't going to do it unless I was bullied by Dion and Millennial Mike. Uh, but they kind of coaxed me into it. So I said, all right, I'll give it a try. And then what really helped is they were like, hey, the first like 20 plus are gonna suck, and no one's even gonna really see it. So like, don't even be concerned. Just get in the habit of posting.
And I actually been doing them for years. When I worked at a company in Arizona, we were the first to do video marketing. So we used this company. I don't even know if it still exists anymore. It's called Bomb. And what
Yeah.
happened is you've heard about it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were the first to convert audio or media files to iPhones. So what we did is we set up different tracks for our loan officers to reach out to people, and they could just open it on their phone. And I can't tell you how many emails I got back that said, "I can't believe you stopped everything and did a video for me. You're so busy." I was not a loan officer, but I was on the marketing team for them. And then that kind of led into we created a green screen and we partnered with agents at the time. And it led me into some more like web development and social media managing. So I've been doing it since I think like 2013, 2012 maybe. And I started a marketing company years ago. It never really went anywhere, but it landed me a corporate job to do it. So I was doing it there. Then I went back to school because what happened is I was looking at all this data and I was like, I need to understand this. So I needed to increase my technical skills and my statistical skills. So I went back to school. Then when I got out, I just started working in the corporate world. And then when I was when I moved to Virginia, I was like, well, let's just start doing it again. So it's kind of, and Mark, I don't know if you know Curtis, and some of the viewers may not know. I work a W-2 job. I teach as well, and then I'm also a student. So it's really like and then I invest. So it's like my fifth thing that I do. So, which is why I'm not very consistent or anything like that. But I just tried to do it, and here I am.
All right, BuzzTune made up for it. He said, I apologize. Crocs are the best.
Oh,
but
man.
I also want to, Mr. Haynes, if Curtis is not going to invite you on his channel, I'll welcome you on my channel to talk about your story. So I'll throw that out there. But same thing, Curtis. For me, it was the kind of like, the first 20, 30 suck. But you're fine. You're just trying to get your footing right and figure things out. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm having fun with it. But I think it's getting easier. Not saying it's easier for you folks to start, but because we're all starting to do it, we can do things like this, and it gets a little bit easier for other people to want to start theirs, because they can see, like, oh, if these knuckleheads can do it, then I can do something too, right? And it's just,
Yeah.
it makes it a lot easier though. But it's all fun, and
Mhm.
we're all practicing and learning, and even that your thumbnails are getting awesome, right? You're doing that, and you're having fun with that, and yeah, cool.
And I will say
Yeah.
about the videos too, the camera tells us a lot about ourselves, which is interesting for some people to understand. And I think that's why people say 20 is that secret number, because at that point you kind of realize, you know what, we're good no matter what.
Trying to decode this message right here.
Person, turquoise, waving speech. Let's do it. Oh,
Curtis? I don't know.
is that an emoji?
Oh, that, yeah,
Oh, okay.
that,
Right?
yeah,
Could be.
yeah, that might be like an emoji.
I was like, what? I don't know what this is. I'm trying to figure it out.
Mod restream. Let's go. Gotta get these emojis in here.
No,
Well,
well,
it looks like Rocks Are the Best has an emoji too. So
yeah, that's why. So I don't know. Maybe, yeah, I'm not sure.
you might be on
But
a phone doing it. I don't know.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I like it. I mean, like I definitely like the lives a lot more. Like you said, it's you kind of
And
just, yeah.
actually, I actually lost my train of thought because I was reading that as well. Because when I was in grad school, and I teach other people to do this now, when they're trying to interview for something, record yourself answering sample questions, and you learn a lot about yourself just by rewatching that video.
Well, I know, like, Curtis, you practice, not practice, but like when I sent you the kind of topic for today, you're like, oh, I'm gonna think about this, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely see, like, when I send messages to certain people, like, hey, you want to hop on a live? Immediately, there's some that are like, what's the topic? And I'm like, I don't know yet, man. I'll get back to you. And there's some that are just like, okay, cool. Let me know. I'll jump on. So you definitely see how different people, either they prepare for it, or just their train of thought. But it's interesting. Everyone has kind of their focus, and they some people, like, they want to come prepared. They want to have certain things that they're going to talk about, and there's others that are like, I'm just gonna roll with it. And that's kind of what I am. And I don't think there's as many, like. So I think that's why I drive people nuts, because I asked them, hey, do you want to come on the live? And they're like, yeah. And then I get like 5 questions, like, who's gonna be on it? What is the topic? And I'm just like, I don't know, man. I'm trying to figure things out still yet. But
well, and I like this.
Then,
go ahead, Curtis. Sorry.
Yeah, and then I think the other thing is, for folks that are trying to start out, is that if they don't feel as accomplished, then they don't feel like they necessarily deserve to have a channel or be on, and I think that's kind of also why it took me a little bit longer too, because adding another property, adding the 3 more like apartments, I was like, okay, well, now I have more, so now I have more to talk about.
Yeah, and I was going to go back to the live. I think that the format that this does is it's an extension of the conversations that you would have with other investors in Washington or in Hawaii or in Virginia for me. But now I'm having it with somebody in Washington. Now I'm having it with somebody in Hawaii. And now I can kind of get your guys' feel on different topics, so that when I have conversations over here in Lynchburg, I'm like, oh, have you ever thought about this? I'm going to use a lot of these football references. I can tell you that.
Good.
And we got the big fella stopping by, the Grand Poobah, Frank, old guy REI, stopping by. So he's doing cool stuff. I don't know. Did he update his logo? But I put his YouTube channel down there, so he's doing cool stuff. I miss Van Confessions. I haven't seen one recently, but he's been busy too, getting the accountability group going. So that's fun on Wednesdays. And if anyone's out there, we're going to try and do a Sunday accountability group, a little more East Coast time zone friendly. So that's going to be out there also. So, hop in.
I know, guys, we get lost over here.
Well, yeah. Well, you don't get lost. You're going to bed at like 1 at night, 1 in the morning, because they stay on for like 6-7 hours. Some of those guys are crazy. But yeah, Frank's out. Like, he's doing cool stuff, especially in the school community. So go check out his YouTube channel.
And where is Frank from?
Frank?
I know that I saw him, and I
he's
saw
from the
you.
Stone Ages is where Frank is from. Now,
A lot of the guys that I saw at the event were from the West Coast.
Yes,
so,
he's on the West Coast, but he invests in. You can correct me, Frank, if you're here, but I know he's in St. Louis. He has one in Gary. Do you know where else? I know he has like 4 markets, I believe.
Yeah, Frank is spread out. He's kind of all over the place.
Very good.
Yeah. But Frank's a good guy. Cynthia's the best, though. His wife is the best. She's my best friend. Oh, he's from lovely Watsonville, Cali.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. I don't know who this is. I'm not sure whose channel he's coming from or her, but I'm pretty sure. Cal Tenix. Hello. So somebody's channel. It could be you, Chris. It could be you, Curtis, but I'm not sure. But this is a good subject.
I don't have mine pulled up.
I don't either.
Okay.
Oh, you know what?
Well, Cal Tenix, if you can comment which channel you're coming from, because you're not coming from my channel. So thanks for stopping by, though. But yeah, make sure you subscribe to all our channels. Give us a like. But let's see. Old Guy REI, Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, and Missouri. He's in.
Okay.
He's all over, man. But yeah,
I've been in all the states. Very good.
Yeah,
I was in a movie in Wisconsin, actually.
Yeah, they were filming Frank's thing is kind of where he more finds the people than necessarily find a market.
Yeah,
that's great. That actually is that's a golden nugget for anybody looking to jump into the space. Because I'll tell you, I got really lucky in Lynchburg that I was able to team up with the guy who leads our group here. And I was able to find all the contractors that I need. I was able to find all the property managers that I need, handymen, people who do yard work. And I was able, if I just decided to come here without living here, I don't know if I would have ever gotten that. So finding the people is very critical. All right. Very good. Thanks for coming in.
It says it is not me.
I don't know who that is.
I'm not sure what this means, but thank you for stopping by.
Yes, thanks for stopping by.
But yeah, going back to Frank, I mean, Frank is doing cool stuff. I mean, I think, some people might be like, oh, why are you in so many markets? But at the same time, it's like, Curtis was saying, it's building relationships, and maybe Frank's plan is to figure out which market he likes the best, right? So, he is finding properties that are cash flowing and, base hits, and then maybe he's figuring out which one is going to work best for him, or which relationships he builds the best relationships and that's where he's going to maybe focus, or 1031 later, and then do that after. But which stream time day does the best? You know what, BuzzTune, it probably does the best when you're sleeping in the morning. the 5 a.m. Hawaii times. Now, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, it kind of a hit or miss, I think. But I do want to try to change the times up just to accommodate different people, because there are certain people on the West Coast that if I do lives at 5 a.m., it doesn't work well for them, because that's like when they're dropping off they're dropping off their kids. So like Jen has a hard time at that specific. That's why if I do it a little bit later, she's able to hop on because she just dropped the kids off.
And I can talk about my old marketing position. One of the reasons why we developed a lot of the video is because I was blogging at the time, and video got the most hits. So I said, we need to jump into this. And then what I found when I was helping the agents design their strategies, the highest hits they got were on Sunday afternoon. And then I started talking to them about it, and I was like, why do you think that is? And we talked about it. And what we determined is that it is when they're at home, they're finished with all their chores, they're done with church, and they're scrolling their phone. And they would see an ad for a home, and they'd click it. And we would get the click-through rate. I mean, it'd double on Sunday.
So he's saying, we're like, the guy's saying, that's not me. That's not you. That's probably you. So he said, it's not me.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here. Thanks for coming to the channel.
Yeah. You must be a smart guy or smart person, if you're going to Chris's channel. So you're not,
I don't
well,
believe that for a minute.
but yeah, so I don't know, Dennis. I don't know if you're still here, but yeah, that's something you might want to consider too. Maybe Frank's playbook a little bit, right? Maybe, I know you're trying to narrow down your market, but you're really not going to know which market you like until you really start investing in there, right? So, Frank, maybe that's Frank's what he's doing, right? He's investing in different markets to kind of see which one he does like the best, and that might be one way to try it. But have you tried real estate in Dubai? Because it is so common there. Huh. I do not know a thing about that. Do you guys know?
No,
Yeah.
I was talking to Dion about like buying internationally because
That's
that's something
right.
that he had thought about. But what he had suggested instead was to buy a property here in the States and then use that to fund the traveling, to fund the Airbnb or the hotel or wherever that you're going to. So you're not tied to that country. You can come back and then you can go travel like elsewhere, but it's still being paid for by the property that you have here.
Yeah, and I have never thought about it. The closest I came is Ireland was paying people to move to a remote island, and I was like, huh. So they're paying me because they would give you a house, and I'm like, but then I looked at the island and I said, probably not for me.
Yeah, I definitely, like what Dion was talking about, right? If you kind of have something working in a certain market, that might be your best game plan, right? Just focus, double up in that market, and then, like you're saying, let that money pay for wherever you want to travel, and that way you're not trying to figure out a different market. Or you're trying to figure out how to invest out of the country and figure out all these maybe different rules or regulations, or even your taxes, right? You might have to figure out like, how am I gonna get this figured out tax wise. So that might be the best approach, right? If you have something going well in Virginia or where you're at, Curtis, and that might be the best place to do it, is right, just focus your money there and then just increase the cash flow to pay for where you want to travel, right?
Yeah, exactly. The goal being to have a house for every bill.
Yeah. Oh, Steven's here. Oh, see, I see people popping in that don't normally wake up that early. Steven, I keep forgetting. I don't know if he's actually in Pittsburgh yet. I don't know if he actually moved there yet, but he bought in Pittsburgh, but he was in Orlando.
Oh, okay. That's a much different climate.
Yeah, but I know he was dealing with an eviction. I don't know how that worked out or where he's at on that process right now. And then even Mikey Buzztune might be going through that situation pretty soon also. Let's see. Oh, Steven said he just got off work. Let's see what if you are going to hire someone to market your real estate, will pay for every sale or what?
Oh, like are you like I'm guessing are you going to use the same agent to relist or list multiple properties? Is
Okay.
kind of my guess from that.
Well, what you guys use primarily one agent? How do you guys do it?
I generally will go with a referral. And what I will do, because I have a good agent in Florida, I'll ask him for somebody up here. And that's how I kind of find my agents because I've moved around a lot. So I just try to use who I know. They know what I'm looking for. So then they'll be able to correspond that with their agent. And I think that um, I know on Zuber's channel, he has Beth who does that as well. So if you don't know anybody, if you haven't purchased a home yet, that might be a good start. Unless one of you, wait, Mark, you're an agent. So you could do the same thing.
Yeah, but I do more property management stuff. So
Okay. Okay.
that's. But I've been saying it for like a year, but maybe I'll throw it out there. Somebody might steal it though. But but no, but I've been keep saying I'm going to switch over to EXP because that's
Mhm.
kind of more my vision, I think. So EXP has more like it's almost like a building a rental portfolio because you have like a revenue share model
Mhm.
where you get agents and then you get a percentage and then it kind of builds. So it's almost like a building a rental portfolio. If you try to get so many agents a year, like so many properties, that's just kind of cash flow that comes in yearly, right? So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. So it's more, no, it's not a, but yeah, but well, it's a flip version because you are getting paid instead of like the brokers in a sense.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay.
because technically it's still a pure because the traditional model, the brokers are making more money, right? So this one is because it's more cloud based. You're not having that overhead too. So even like your monthly fees are typically lower. Trade better says count me in for
Yeah.
fantasy football. Um,
And
but
it's a profit share, so the company has to be profitable. Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's where
Gotcha.
it's less like a pyramid.
So my thing though is I want to do more like the agent acquisition side, like how
Mhm.
doing these lives or connecting with different agents and just talking to them. And it's not even
Mhm.
gonna be like, hey, you want to jump? It's gonna be more like I want to help you market your brand, and
Mhm.
then if we ever talk about EXP, then great. But for
And can
me,
I ask a question about that actually of
yeah,
YouTube?
yeah.
Is there a need for agents to understand the way an investor looks at a property? I can say that's exactly my answer too.
Well, I'm gonna say if you are a investor, you want your agent to be, but there's so much people that are just buying a home that they want
Yes.
the best agent to, you know, market it and make it look a certain way. So, and I think that's how most agents are. Most agents are just helping the traditional home buyer,
Mhm.
So, but definitely, if you are an investor, you probably want your agent to be a little more familiar with what's going on the investment side of things. Yeah. But what do you think about this idea? Like I said, I think someone might steal it. Hopefully they're not listening. But so I want to do like the YouTube, the lives and all, but I want to have like agents in different markets like battling or comparing their market and like why their market is good. That would be like how I'm gonna get to like connect with different agents and be like, hey, I want to promote you and all that, but I want you to talk about your market, and we're gonna have someone else come on. And they're gonna talk about their market, and you guys are gonna go like, hey, my median home price is this much compared, and just or what is the new trends in your area? Like, are you guys getting healthcare? Are you guys getting new businesses? But now it's gonna
Mhm.
be like two agents kind of discussing their markets, going head to head, kind of thing.
I think you'd get a lot of investors watching that as well.
Yeah, so that's my plan. So hopefully nobody steals it.
We can just cut that part out, right? After the
Nah, I
last.
don't. I don't edit that. I'm gonna throw that out there too for the accountability groups on Sunday. I'm not editing anything, so you say what you want. It's being thrown out there.
Hey Curtis, let me ask you what because you went like yes, yes.
Yeah,
What do
yeah.
you because thinking about like your last transactions and how you are looking to
Mhm.
invest now, what do you think there's a blind spot and do you have like a solution for one or
Yeah, so I've used the same agent and actually the same lender twice for both of my purchases so far. And the first one, it was an easier market in 2022. So like the
Mhm.
numbers worked fine, Whereas when I was looking this year with the rates and everything, the cash flow was tough. And
Mhm.
so he was like, oh, hey, here's a great deal. I sent you it. The numbers work. And it happened a couple times and the numbers didn't work. And
Mhm.
so I had to say, hey, pause. The properties you're sending me, this is the issue. And then that kind of resolved it, where he may still send me it, but then when I said no, it wasn't really like a back and forth on why. I just said, hey, it's missing something. Then he would know, like during our conversations, I'll say the numbers just don't work. It wasn't like, well, explain the numbers to me, because I've already taught him on how I run my numbers, on what my reserves have to be, kind of all of that, and the importance of like certain aspects of the multi-family property. Like, hey, if there's no parking, that's a big issue.
Right.
And so just kind of having those conversations really helped him and I kind of search more.
So as much as I asked the question earlier, Mark, and you kind of gave the point of view from your end in terms of being an agent, it kind of sounds like it could be on us as buyers to educate the agents to let them know what we're looking for. Because I fell for the same thing a couple times where I never told them. It just happened that I didn't look at HOA properties, and then they started sending me and I go, I don't like HOAs. We got to stay away from them. So it was very similar where I had just had to have that conversation as well. So very good.
Sorry, I might be saying your name wrong all the time, but Caltenex says, talking about marketing, do you think speaking perfectly help convince the customer? I'm sure it can help, but it is what it is, right? I mean, like it is, you know, I'm sure I don't speak properly all the time. So it's one of those things where, yeah, you can kind of work on it and get better at it, but it kind of is what it is. And you just got to work to your strengths though, right? I think the biggest thing though is just make sure you're trying to speak clearly and not rush through things, and make sure that, there's some communication there. But I think that's the biggest thing, is just speak clearly, not rush, but as far as speaking perfectly and whether it's proper English like they say, but it is what it is, and kind of just do the best you can, right?
Yeah, and kind of going off of that too is, I guess it depends. Perfectly may depend on who you're speaking to, because the way that I talk to a lender or someone in the business may not be the same as when I talk to like a tenant. Because a tenant may not care or may not even understand a few of the terms, right? So it's speaking to them, kind of meeting them where they're at.
Right. And I'll piggyback on that, on something you mentioned earlier, Curtis, and it's about the process versus the outcome. And I think that for some videos, the outcome is to establish the property as this lifestyle. There, you want to make sure everything is scripted. But for other things, it's about, hey, I just want to walk you through something, and you're just going to speak in general terms.
Yeah. So he says it's call. That's how you would say his name.
Oh, very good.
Cool. Well, thanks for hanging out, man.
Yeah.
We try to do these once or twice a week, but hop on. Hopefully, it's a lot of laughing and learning at the same time. But yeah, we're just trying to have fun.
Not as much crock talk.
Well, hey, it's everyone knows already. Crocs are the thing, man. But I think we seriously got Sierra Homes and Hustles into considering starting to make gibbets. She's like, oh, gibbets might be. So she.
Oh man, we gotta get you some Crocs with your fireman logo on them.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I might. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, I don't know. Anything else you guys want to dig into while we're here? Trade Better's here, so yeah, he's down for football. I said so.
I'm meeting him tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What is that?
So I'm meeting with him tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's kind of chat, and that's something I would not necessarily get into, but I would encourage. If you guys are close, meet up with other people, especially if you're talking to them online. We talk about having those 5 friends, and a lot of times the people that I work with, they hear what I'm doing and they put the wall up. I can't do that. And I think Curtis mentioned this earlier, when you go into the math, the wall goes up and I can't do that. Well, you still got to be sharp. So if you're not getting your 5 people, you got to figure out how to get them.
True. A call if you are still here. I'm not sure if you're willing to, but maybe put what area you're in, or do you have any real estate, or what market do you invest in? But yeah, if you don't mind throwing that in the comments. But
Yeah. I want to bring up a different tax. I'm not sure if you guys follow Coding Christian. Mark, I know you've met with one of them, but they talk about the stupid tax.
oh, I'm good at that.
Have you guys had to pay that? And if so, what did that look like?
Well, my son's mom doesn't watch, so yeah, I paid it. No, hopefully she doesn't watch.
I can talk about one time when I paid it. I bought a brand new home in a community in Arizona, and it was an infill home, so it had all these existing homes around it. And I mean, we assumed we were going to stay there for a decade or more, and I think we stayed there for 5 years, and the value didn't increase. And when we sold it I think for $200 more than we bought it for, because the values around the area just were not there. And I didn't really know at the time that it was something that we were gonna move on from. So it became a stupid tax. But I mean, when we initially bought it, we didn't even think about it. But I'll tell you, ever since then, we remembered it, and we are not making those same choices again.
So Carl says he is from Algeria. Oh, I can't skip this one first, though. From BuzzTune. Sydney Sweeney and Crocs. I'll be on cloud 9. Oh, wait, okay. Let's see. Because I told Sierra, too. I said, I don't really even know who Sydney Sweeney is. I just was jumping on all the X stuff. Okay, but do you guys... I told her my 2 favorites actually are Kate Beckinsale and Jessica Alba. And she's like, I have no idea who those people are.
I know
you guys know who they are, right?
I know Jessica Alba. I'm trying to picture the other one, but nothing's
Kate
coming to mind.
She's from shoot, what is that movie called? The vampire and werewolf one. Underworld.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Underworld. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
See.
Oh man. I will say, when I had the cookie shop, we had 9 high schoolers that worked for us. It was a lot of fun. One of them walked up to me one time, Curtis, I don't know if you're going to know this. Mark, I know you will. And they go, Chris, do you know who Hall & Oates is? And I'm like, yes.
I don't know, Curtis. Do you know who they are?
They're a band, right?
Yes.
Yeah. There it is.
Yeah, from the 80s.
Don't ask me to name a song or lyrics or anything.
Let's see. So, are you in Algeria still yet? Or that's where you're from? I mean, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe if you put where you're at now, I mean, I'm sure we can find someone in that area if you want to sit down and chat about real estate or whatnot. But yeah, I definitely agree. You know, get out there, put yourself out there, connect with people. You know, like Mikey's doing a great job at that. When I first met Mikey, you know, he was kind of shy, and now he calls all kinds of people. He's talking to like lenders, and he's talking to his inspector that inspected his place. I think he's like talking story, and the guy's like, "Oh man, Hawaii must be awesome." But yeah, just get out there, talk story, meet people. You don't even know who invests. That's why a lot of times you're talking to people and you're like, oh, this person has properties.
And I'll admit I have to get better at that. Just getting in touch with people, and I have to get better at networking outside of Lynchburg.
Yeah, it is hard. I mean, but that's that's why all these Zooms and technology comes into play, and I said it's great just to connect with people over social media, and everyone has a story to tell, man. But yeah, going back to like the stupid tax, I think I think we've all been there. It's just something that you go through, right? And then you kind of just find your way, right? You find your niche, or you find your community. I mean, some people love stocks, right? Some people are doing stocks, crypto, whatnot. But we've all paid the stupid tax. It's
Mhm.
just hopefully you can limit it after a while.
Right.
Um,
Yep.
hey, Frank is still here. Old guy REI is
Yeah.
still here. Thanks for sticking around, man.
Yeah, and
Um,
I'll say thanks to everybody too. It's so because you kind of invited me, and then but it's still on my channel as well. So anybody who's watching from my channel, thank you, and anybody who's watching from Mark's channel, thank you. This is a very interesting time to have YouTube and use this technology. You mentioned one the other day. It was the one that cuts up your videos.
Yep.
That is
So,
cool. I used it today. I was like,
oh,
this
you
is
tried
cool.
Opus?
Yeah,
Yep. So it
pretty
makes it,
slick.
yeah. So Opus is really, so what you're gonna find out though. Oh, so what video did you use it for? Was it just yourself, or was it you used it
It
for?
was an interview, and
Okay.
my style is I usually do the interview and I have my little
hmm
whiteboard.
Yeah.
So it didn't pull up the whiteboard. So I'll have to play around with a little bit,
Yeah.
but
You can
I
still
like what
edit
it
it.
did. It
Yeah.
did, and it grades like
Yeah.
your catch line or whatever,
Yeah.
your phrase.
Yep.
And I'm like, this is pretty interesting.
Yeah. The only thing you're gonna notice though, and that's actually why I try to get 4 people on. It just makes
Mhm.
it easier to edit the videos. It seems like when there's 4 people, it makes it a little bit easier to edit. Or
Mhm.
even 2 people. But when you have like three like this, it's gonna make it a little bit. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more work when I edit the shorts. But
Because it
um
cuts, right? Because on one of mine
yeah,
it has two pictures
yeah,
on top
yeah.
of each other, and I'm like,
Yeah,
that's
so
annoying.
you just got to play around with the
Yeah,
settings and figure out what works for you, but it definitely saves a lot of time.
it's very cool.
Um, let's see. Call says, I know a person who works in real estate in Dubai. That's why I asked you that Dubai became a great destination. Oh, well, maybe we got to do more research on that. That'll be
And
interesting.
yeah, and I'll jump in with you, Mark, because you're out in Hawaii and I'm in Virginia. We have two different sets of like tenant and landlord laws. So what I would recommend is reach out to your friend and or to your person and find out what the laws are there. Because I know in Mexico, I don't think a non-Mexican citizen can own land, so you have to do like a lease structure. So I would figure that out first, and then you can kind of move forward from there.
Ah. Oh, I always want to say REI Stoners, but it's Martin Properties now. He's getting classy, that's why. But what's up,
Very
Josh?
good.
Thanks for
Very
stopping
good.
by. Oh, you know what? I haven't posted your channel because you hardly. I know you're working all the time, but I think I have your channel saved there. I try to put whoever's channel. Oh,
Didn't he
see, I
just do
do.
a table, right? He just did a table, and he did some coasters recently
Ah,
with
yes, he did. He used
Monopoly.
the Monopoly
Yeah.
pieces in his coasters.
Yep.
But go check out Josh's YouTube channel also. He's doing some cool stuff. He's doing way more hands-on stuff than I do. But yeah, he was making coasters out of epoxy and he was putting like the Monopoly
Yeah.
houses inside the coasters. When told you I have to work on your speaking, do you mean listening to some anchors? Can you give me some tips? Hold on. So Call has another question. Thanks for all these questions, Call. These
Yeah.
are great. It helps the live keep going. When you told you have to work on your speaking, do you mean listening to some anchors? Can you give me some
I
tips?
I would say as a tip, come up with a couple bullets of what you want to say, record yourself a couple times and watch them, and then you'll find different techniques that you like. I know sometimes I go out on tangents when I'm on lives and I can kind of, sputter away. But in general, if you guys watch my videos, if they're short, they're very concise. And it's because that's my technique. I usually have a paper with me with some notes on it, and I go through my points and I explain what I think is relevant. And then the hardest thing to do is do your opening and your closing. So if you can identify those two and write scripts for them and memorize it, you're going to be perfect. Hi, this is Chris from Invest LH, and today I'm going to go over blank.
See, all these guys do a lot more than I do. I just wing it half the time. So it's really
Different styles for different people, though,
yeah.
man. You do a
Don't
great
be
job of what you're doing.
Yeah, don't be like me though. I just wing a lot of stuff. I just roll with it, And I know I definitely have more of a monotone style, so that's not for everyone. And some people like to be more energetic and whatnot. But so you just gotta really find kind of what works best for you. But I think it really just comes down to make sure you're attempting to speak slowly enough where people can
Mhm.
understand and speak clearly where people can follow you. But really just find your voice. Like some people really, like I said, they have a little more energy to their style, and some are more monotone and whatnot. But just find what works for you.
Mhm.
Rolling with the homies. Yep. See, Marcus. Yeah. Hey, Josh, how's Bronny doing, man? Is he gonna go? Is he gonna make the cut? I like jabbing him. He's a Lakers fan.
Yeah, well, Celtics won, so
Oh, you are such a front runner, man. I can't believe it, man.
Massachusetts is
You
not a
are you are a front runner.
Oh man.
Yeah, man. I don't know, man. We gotta get Josh back. I know Josh is super busy, but we gotta get him back on one of these lives. I think he'll have a lot of fun. D League, D League. Maybe I shouldn't say it, but I don't know if you guys saw that meme where somebody was. I mean, it wasn't okay. We shouldn't be. It's just a joke, people. I don't want anybody to get offended. But but so someone was. Did you see after the shooting? What happened over the weekend? Somebody was like, "Oh, the shooter
No,
must have been named Bronny."
I did see that meme.
It was like 1 for 8 from the
Oh,
field or something. Don't get offended, anyone. We're just joking here. But Martin says, "Fuck
oh
the
man.
Celtics." Yeah, you are such a front runner, man. What happened to Curtis? Where did he go?
I don't
He
know.
just,
I
I'm gonna take his
wonder
camera
if he
off
has to
the
go talk
screen.
to his contractor
He's
about
probably
something.
playing video games or something right
Yeah,
now.
he could be doing that too. He'd probably be
But
being Alabama, right? Yeah, here we go.
yeah, but yeah, man. I don't know anything
Georgia,
else before
Georgia,
we wrap
right?
this up
Georgia's
soon.
the front runner.
Only millennials get butt hurt. See, Josh, we gotta get you on these lives, man. You have fun, man. We also gotta get Steven in front of the camera. I think Steven would be a riot. Can you guys tell me what you do for a living? Real estate? I am a full-time firefighter in Hawaii. I am also a realtor. Currently, well, I don't. I guess I don't have a broker right now, but I'll probably be switching over to EXP soon. I do more property management, co-hosting, short-term rental management, and then I invest in real estate in Pittsburgh.
And I'm an analyst. I work in an HR department and I develop payroll for a large organization. I teach economics as well, and I invest, and I'm also a student. Student, I guess, is not something I do for a living, but it feels like it does me for a living. So,
And let's see what else we got here.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't
I
know. I guess.
agree. Buzz tune. I think, Mark, I gotta admit, I think you do a great job. Like I know you say, oh, some people, and there's something to be said about the way that you communicate with people, and sometimes people, when they get this fear of creating a video for YouTube, they think that it needs to be something like an anchor. And studies that I read back in 2012, 2014 is people do not like that because they can't relate to it. And the way that you do your live streams here, I bet you connect a lot stronger with your community than those people who try to have those professional videos that they put out on YouTube.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I just like having fun with it. I actually like I have more fun like connecting all you folks. Like that's the fun part for me is just getting everyone together. But call I actually put my channel on Chris's channel, so you can go subscribe to my channel
Oh
also.
yeah,
That'd
very
be
good.
greatly appreciated, man. Hey, Kobe, yeah, Kobe, EXP rocks. Yeah, he's trying to. Yeah, I don't know. Were you listening, Kobe, earlier? You better not steal my idea what I was talking about for what I wanted to do. Let's see. Dalton gonna be good for the P&G. Dalton. Who's Dalton?
Oh, for the purple and gold. I think it's their
Oh,
draft pick.
yeah, that's right.
Where's he from?
Yeah.
Kentucky, maybe?
Ooh, topic of mail theft at your properties. Okay, we can do that for another live. We can.
Interesting.
That'll be a good topic. Topic of mail theft. Yeah. All right, man. Well, let's just wrap things up soon.
Yeah.
Let's wrap maybe about 5 more minutes. And so, if anyone has any more questions, just shoot it out there. We'll try and answer it before we hop off. But what do you got going on this weekend, then, man?
I'm going to see my sister and going to see Harrison, Trade Better 99, and then I got to come back. I got a few projects I got to finish up at this house before I start my busy weeks next week. So I'm still taking a class right now, but I'm going to be adding my teaching duties next week as well.
I've been seeing people change their boxes to safe boxes in my area. Really? Huh. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I haven't had that issue. I haven't been brought up to me yet. What do you think of project management? Do you mean like managing like rehab type stuff? Is that what you're asking, Call? Or just project in general, like for bigger companies? I'm not sure.
How do
You got it?
So I think that early on when you're investing, you kind of wear a lot of hats, and then at some point you kind of you come off as an expert in one area. And I think, like, for example, from some of the people we watch, I think Matt, the lumberjack, is very good at project management. And I think that he can go into something and say, it's going to take me 10 days to do this. It's going to take me 5 days to do that. It's going to take me 8 days to do this. Whereas early on, you have to learn those. You kind of go through those lumps, and then you're able to identify that later on. And I think that for some people who have a partnership, generally they're going to have somebody who's a little better at that and somebody who's a little better at something else. And I think, Mark, if you're doing property management, you probably got to know a little bit about project management, because you probably have projects as you do things, especially on the short-term side.
Yeah, so that's the thing too. Is I think it really always just comes down to you really got to understand yourself. I mean, some people don't, or they struggle communicating with other people, and I see it in the firehouse too. Though that's kind of what separates, the people in the firehouse. There's some captains that are great at, kind of adapting their style to the personnel on their truck, right? So they know that everyone has different strengths and they know how to get everyone to work together. There's some captains out there that it's more like, no, this is my truck. We do things my way, and they're not willing to adapt, right? So, there's different kind of, I guess, managers out there, or captains, as you would say. And there's some that it's kind of their way, they're set in their ways, and that's so they attract only certain people to their truck a lot of times. And then there's other captains that are more like, we work as a crew. I'm flexible in how we're going to work as long as we get the job done, right? So I think it's just really understanding yourself, and not saying one way is better than the other. Right. It's just sometimes you might have to find the right people that fit your style. So if you're going to hire certain people, you got to know what you're looking for. But that's also the struggle too, right? Even we're talking about sports quite a bit, on this live. But some coaches, some ownership, they don't have control over certain players, right? Or who's on their team. So usually the coaches that are able to adapt a lot better probably find a little more, success, because they can't always have the control of what players are on their team, especially with the salary cap and stuff, right? See, someone else agrees. Get on camera, Steven. Hey, Invest to Wealth is here. Thanks for stopping by, man. Yeah, we're gonna wrap things up soon, man. You guys all popping in late, but anyway, thanks for stopping by.
After work for them, yeah. Thanks, guys, for coming in. But Mark, it was great to have me on. I appreciate you working this into your schedule.
No, man, it's always fun. I'm always willing to do these. I know you've been wanting to talk about the ego tax again, and yeah, we'll do this again, and we'll try to see if we can fit some stuff around your work schedule or school
I
schedule when
know.
it
Yeah.
gets back in time. But yeah, everyone, thanks for doing this. I have one more. Or no, I got two lives coming up next week. I'm gonna have if anyone's here and you guys want to give me a thought about it, but I'm gonna have Donato Callahan from Bright Investor on the live on Friday next week. And I don't know if you guys really want me to for him to go over his product that he has or just chit chat about whatever topic or real estate. But let me know if seeing more of his product is something you guys are interested in.
Well,
Um
I will talk briefly, real quick, and this will be then. Sorry, everybody.
oh hey, man.
If it's anything like the coffee buzz or whatever that
Yeah.
was that you did the other day, that thing was awesome, by the way.
Yeah, so that's where I'm a little torn too, because I know both of them and they both have somewhat similar products.
Yeah.
So I think they're both great. Yeah.
And I think it's not, I don't think you're, in my opinion, I don't think you're overstepping bounds by just having them both present both products. But whatever she went over that stuff yet last week. That was awesome.
No,
It was
yeah.
very informative.
Yeah. And then so Donato has his, and he was in one of the Wednesday Zooms also and kind of just going over his stuff. And his stuff is great too. And they're adding a lot new features to almost like a skip tracing kind of
Mhm.
wholesaling aspect. But it's a similar type of product.
Sure.
But hey, what's up, Lars? You too, man. Popping
What we
in
got
late.
over here?
But thanks for stopping by, man. We're gonna be wrapping things up soon.
Ton of people coming
Um,
in that are putting comments in
I
now.
know.
Thanks,
They, they,
everybody. I do
they heard me.
appreciate
They
it.
heard us talking about the Lakers and Celtics. That's why. So they're all popping. Oh, but Lars is a hockey fan.
Yeah, Bruins.
Yeah. What?
Front runner.
Wait. Oh yeah, your flight was. Are you still in Hawaii, Lars? Was your flight canceled out of here? You could
Oh,
be stuck in a lot worse places, man.
yeah.
Yeah, man, it's crazy what's going on. But
All
all
right,
right,
man.
man. Yeah, let's wrap it up then. Well, thanks everyone for stopping by. This one was fun. For I'm not sure. I shot out an email for the Sunday accountability group. It's going to be 3:30 p.m. Eastern. On Sundays, we're going to test it out. So if anyone wants the link, email me or message me, and I'll get it to you. But yeah, hopefully see you guys on Sunday. If not.